Hiring is broken. It's slow, expensive, and overwhelming. Companies review hundreds of profiles and still struggle to find the right match. Talentoo changes that. We connect companies with a network of recruiters who compete to deliver pre-screened, validated candidates fast. Instead of screening hundreds of profiles, companies receive an average of 7 curated CVs in only 48 hours. No upfront costs, you only pay if you hire and you set the fee. What makes us unique is our ecosystem. Recruiters don't receive random job listings. Our platform matches opportunity with their expertise, and it is them who choose the roles they want to work on. That drives real motivation and better hiring outcomes. Companies save time, they cut hiring costs, and they gain access to high-quality talent, even candidates who aren't actively applying. Talentoo isn't another job board, it's a smart hiring ecosystem.
There, I think that's one of the most creative pitches. I mean, it's a small thing, but when you've only got 60 seconds to sell your company, just the use of swooshes and interaction, I quite like that.
No, I thought it was very good, actually. I liked it, and they are actually touching on something that is really important, especially when we think about skills, and but getting the right people into the right jobs and actually taking out that time. I only had a couple of questions around. It's interesting to know about these, the expertise, but a lot of jobs aren't just about your qualifications. It's really about the soft side and ensure that you don't get bias into it, because AI has had a little bit of a challenge in the past for kind of hiring.
Yep.
So, but I really liked. I think it's she's the company Talentoo is actually touching on something that's really important.
Yeah.
And I think if you can really match, I love the fact that it's the ecosystem. I think that's really nice, and about you get to choose. But I would like to know a little bit more about how you the criterias for that kind of expertise. Is there kind of soft criteria? Is it kind of like qualifications? All of those kind of things. That would be what I'd be caring about. But otherwise, I like it.
Okay. Jeff, I mean, she said that the kind of recruitment process is broken. They're trying to fix that. Is that something you agree with?
I think the problem is huge.
Yeah.
And I think the opportunity is really interesting when you look at it, because we're going to see more and more need for figuring out how to kind of create these matches. I think the ingredients were really good. Again, the ecosystem makes a lot of sense. The problem is a big one, and it's going to get bigger. And then how do we think through actually using the technology to solve it? I think one thing that would be interesting is to really just understand how you do these things, right? Because the approach on how you take and put these things together matters, right? To your point around bias around the AI, what type of model. She actually never said AI, so I think we're assuming.
Yeah, we are.
We're actually really assuming that that's in there.
It's actually the first pitch all week that hasn't mentioned AI.
Yeah,
it's good for her.
Which is kind of refreshing, right? But to understand how they're using technology to be different, other than just kind of creating an ecosystem and matching it to groups, but thinking through how those ingredients are actually used to see if there's staying power.
Yeah. So look, we got if they make it to the final, we've got questions around how they use this, what technology is behind it. Also, we didn't quite get a sense of how many customers or kind of examples.
How big is the ecosystem? How do they create the ecosystem? You just sign up to something. That's the kind of those are all the things, and in what industries. But I'd be very interested in how do you go about setting your expertise? Because to my mind, what CVs are like. Everyone puts even a job description. How do you do that? Because I can imagine that you're going to have some help on the companies. Like, how do they set it up carefully so they match the right people? So it's not just about having the ecosystem. It's also about how you train the companies who are looking for people to ask for the right things, as opposed to ask for something really.
It's also interesting kind of how the business model is set up, right? To be able to create a flywheel effect. It's very similar to like an Uber, for example. The more drivers you have, it actually creates more customer demand. So which side do you actually play off of first? Is it more better kind of CVs and people, or is it more better companies and offers?
You know what I like about that flywheel, because actually you can imagine them connecting with sort of existing CV places like Indeed. You could imagine that they could actually piggyback off something like that, and actually become a much bigger ecosystem.
Or amplify it in a way that
exactly. It could be quite exciting.
Well, look at that lively discussion from our judges. It's certainly got you two thinking, hasn't it? Thank you very much. So let's move on to